Hey, church family, do you remember when Jesus was asked which of the commands recorded in the Bible was the greatest? Do you remember how he answered? Jesus responded, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." What Jesus is reminding us of, through his words, is that loving our neighbor is central to obeying God. In Proverbs 3, Solomon provides us with two examples of what loving our neighbor might look like. First of all, in Proverbs 3:27, he writes, "Do not withhold good from those who deserve it when it's in your power to help them. If you can help your neighbor now, don't say, 'Come back tomorrow, and then I'll help you.'" He's telling us there that if you can help, you should. Showing love by helping those in need is an act of obedience to God. The second example is in verse 29, where he writes, "Don't plot harm against your neighbor, for those who live nearby trust you." This is kind of the opposite side of the first example. On the one hand, we should be looking for opportunities to help. On the other hand, we should avoid plotting harm. Sounds almost silly, right? I mean, why in the world would you plot to harm your neighbor? Hopefully you're not. And if you're not, you can grade yourself with an A on this one. So how did you score? An A when it comes to not plotting harm, but not quite as high of a mark when it comes to actively seeking opportunities to help? The good news is, if that's where you land on these two, it means there's room for growth. I think it's significant that when Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, he answered with not one, but two. Love God, love your neighbor. I think he answered that way because it's not really possible to separate these two. If you don't love your neighbor whom you have seen, then you can't really love an invisible God whom you've never seen. And I pray we'd be doing our level best to do both. Amen.